1901. The Aegean Sea. A sponge diver surfaces screaming about corpses on the ocean floor. But what they pulled from that ancient shipwreck wasn't just bodies and treasure. Hidden in the wreckage was a device so advanced, so impossibly complex, that scientists spent the next century refusing to believe ancient humans could have built it. They were looking at a 2,000-year-old computer. And were only now understanding what it could actually do. The device was the size of a shoebox. Corroded. Encrusted with 2 millennia of sea growth. Most archaeologists dismissed it as a lump of rock. But one scientist noticed something strange. Embedded in the corrosion were tiny gear teeth. Perfectly machined. Impossibly precise. This technology shouldn't appear in the historical record for another 1,400 years. Here's what makes this discovery so disturbing: we found nothing else like it from the ancient world. No prototypes. No failed experiments. No instruction manuals. It's as if someone in ancient Greece simply invented the most sophisticated mechanical device in human history, and then, the knowledge vanished. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just how they built it, but why this machine disappeared from human knowledge for 2,000 years. And that answer is far more unsettling than the mystery itself. Let's go back to that shipwreck. The year was approximately 80 to 60 BCE. A Roman cargo ship, loaded with Greek treasures, was sailing from the eastern Mediterranean toward Italy. Marble statues. Bronze sculptures. Luxury goods for wealthy Roman collectors. And apparently, this device. The ship never made it. It sank near the tiny island of Antikythera, taking its secrets to the bottom. For 2,000 years, it lay there undisturbed. When divers finally explored the wreck in 1901, they recovered the largest collection of ancient bronze statues ever found. Headlines celebrated the art. Almost nobody noticed the corroded lump of bronze and that would turn out to be infinitely more valuable. It sat in a museum drawer for months before anyone looked closely. And when they did, they found something that defied explanation: 37 interlocking bronze gears, some with teeth just 1.5 millimeters apart. Now, let's stop here. Because I need you to understand just how insane this level of precision is for the ancient world. Think about what we believed ancient Greeks had. They had basic tools. Bronze casting. Simple machines like levers and pulleys. They did not have precision manufacturing. They did not have the concept of miniaturized clockwork. Yet here were gears that wouldn't be matched in complexity until medieval European clocks 14 centuries later. It's like finding a smartphone in a Viking burial mound. It shouldn't be there. It can't be there. And yet, there it was. The scientific establishment had two choices: accept that ancient Greeks were capable of technology we never imagined, or assume the device was a hoax or a later addition to the wreck. For decades, many chose denial. But here's where the story gets stranger. Because the more scientists studied this impossible machine, the more impossible it became. In 1959, a physicist named Derek de Solla Price began the first serious analysis. Using X-ray technology, he peered inside the corroded fragments without destroying them. What he found made him question everything. This wasn't just a collection of gears. It was a calculating machine. By turning a handle on the side, the device could predict the position of the Sun, the Moon, and possibly all 5 planets known to the ancients: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn on any given date. It could forecast lunar and solar eclipses decades in advance. It even tracked the 4-year cycle of the Olympic Games. Price called it more like a modern clock than anything else known from ancient times. But even he underestimated it. Because the device contained something that seemed genuinely impossible: a gear train that accurately modeled the moon's elliptical orbit. The ancient Greeks knew the moon doesn't move at a constant speed. And they built a mechanical computer to calculate its variations. To understand why this matters, you need to understand the moon's behavior. The moon doesn't orbit Earth in a perfect circle. It follows an ellipse. Sometimes it's closer. Sometimes it's farther. This means its apparent speed across the sky changes throughout the month. Ancient astronomers noticed this. The Babylonians tracked it mathematically. But building a mechanical model of this irregular motion? That requires solving a geometrical problem that would challenge engineers today. The Antikythera builders did it using a pin and slot mechanism, a gear-mounted slightly off-center that produces varying output speeds as it rotates. This is a technique that appears in no other ancient technology. It's not mentioned in any surviving Greek text. It's as if someone invented it, perfected it, and then the knowledge simply ceased to exist. But we're about to discover something even more disturbing. Because in 2006, new imaging technology would reveal that everything we thought we understood about this device was wrong. But here's where this story goes from fascinating to absolutely mind-bending. Everything I've just told you? That was based on studying maybe 30% of the device. In 2006, an international team used cutting-edge CT scanning technology, the same technology hospitals use to scan your body, to create three-dimensional images of the mechanism's interior. What they found changed everything. Hidden inside the fragments were inscriptions. Tiny Greek letters, less than 2 millimeters tall, forming a user manual of over 3,000 characters. And the instructions revealed capabilities that scientists hadn't even suspected. This machine didn't just track the sun and moon. It predicted eclipses with a sophistication that accounted for variations in eclipse patterns over centuries. It modeled the complex retrograde motion of planets when planets appear to move backward across the sky. And perhaps most astonishing, it may have calculated the irregular orbits of all 5 visible planets using gear trains we haven't fully reconstructed. We're not looking at one impossible machine. We're looking at potentially the most sophisticated scientific instrument built before the Renaissance. The inscriptions revealed something else. This device was meant to be used by ordinary people. The text includes instructions like turn the hand crank and read the pointer positions. This wasn't a one-of-a-kind curiosity built for a king's amusement. The instructions suggest this was a working tool, possibly one of many. And that raises a terrifying question. If ancient Greeks could build this level of technology, and if devices like this were common enough to need user manuals, where are all the others? We've excavated thousands of ancient sites. We've recovered countless artifacts. We've found cooking pots and coins and jewelry and tools. But we've found exactly one Antikythera mechanism. Just one. The implications are staggering. Either this was truly unique and almost impossible burst of genius from a single workshop, or there were many more, and they were all lost. All the prototypes. All the copies. All the improvements. Every single one, gone. Except for this corroded fragment that survived only because it sank to the bottom of the sea. So what happened? How does an entire technological tradition simply vanish? The answer lies in one of history's greatest tragedies, the destruction of ancient knowledge. When Rome conquered Greece, they weren't interested in Greek science. They wanted Greek art, Greek slaves, Greek wealth. The mechanism aboard that shipwreck was likely being transported as a curiosity or trophy, not as living technology to be studied and improved. Then came centuries of war, conquest, and cultural collapse. The great library of Alexandria burned. Countless workshops and schools destroyed. The chain of knowledge from master to apprentice broken. Imagine if, today, every computer suddenly disappeared. Every server. Every phone. Every manual. Every engineer who knew how they worked. Within a generation, the technology would become legend. Within a century, myth. Within a millennium, it would seem like magic. That's what happened to the Antikythera mechanism. The world moved on. And humanity forgot it had once built a computer. Now, I need you to really think about what this means. Not just for ancient history, but for US. Because here's the question that should keep you up at night: what else did we lose? The Antikythera mechanism survived by pure accident. A shipwreck. Anaerobic conditions. The right depth. The right temperature. Sheer luck. If that ship hadn't sunk, if divers hadn't found it, if one scientist hadn't noticed the gear teeth, we would have no idea this technology ever existed. We would still believe the ancient Greeks were limited to simple machines. So what else is out there? What other technologies were invented, mastered, and then erased from human memory? We know the Greeks had steam-powered devices. We know the Chinese had seismographs. We know the Babylonians had sophisticated mathematics. What devices did they build that we've never found? The Antikythera mechanism isn't just an artifact. It's a warning. It's proof that human knowledge can be lost. Completely. Permanently. And we might never know what we're missing. But the story doesn't end with loss. Because in the last 20 years, something remarkable has happened. Teams of researchers from around the world have been racing to reconstruct the Antikythera mechanism. Not just to understand it, but to build it. And they've succeeded. Using the CT scan data and the ancient inscriptions, modern engineers have created working replicas. They've confirmed that every function we suspected actually works. The solar predictions, accurate. The lunar predictions, accurate. The eclipse predictions, accurate to within hours over centuries. And when they tested the planetary gear trains, they discovered something unexpected. The mathematics encoded in those gears reflects astronomical theories we thought were developed centuries later. The ancient Greeks weren't just good engineers. They were doing scientific work that we credited to Copernicus and Kepler, nearly 2,000 years before those men were born. This machine is a window into a lost scientific tradition that may have been far more advanced than we ever imagined. So here's the answer to the question we started with. How did ancient Greeks build the world's first computer 2,000 years ago? They did it through centuries of accumulated knowledge. They combined Babylonian astronomy with Greek mathematics. They developed precision metalworking through generations of trial and error. They built on the work of geniuses whose names we'll never know. The Antikythera mechanism wasn't magic. It wasn't aliens. It wasn't a time traveler's lost gadget. It was the peak achievement of a sophisticated scientific culture that we almost completely forgot. And it disappeared not because it was flawed, but because the civilization that created it collapsed. The knowledge died when the teachers died. The technology vanished when the workshops closed. And for 2,000 years, humanity had to reinvent everything from scratch. But here's what makes this story ultimately hopeful: we figured it out. We looked at a corroded lump of bronze and we decoded it. We rebuilt it. We understood it. 2,000 years of silence, and we finally heard what the ancient Greeks were trying to tell us. They were brilliant. They were capable of wonders. And now, we know. The Antikythera mechanism sits today in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. 82 fragments of corroded bronze, barely recognizable as technology. Most visitors walk right past it. They're drawn to the gleaming statues, the golden jewelry, the dramatic pottery. They don't realize they're ignoring the most significant scientific artifact ever recovered from the ancient world. But you know now. You know that 2,000 years ago, someone in a Greek workshop built a machine that could predict the heavens. You know that their knowledge was lost, recovered, and lost again. You know that we came within inches of never discovering it at all. And you know the question that still haunts researchers: if the ancient Greeks built this, what else did they build that we'll never find? Somewhere in the Mediterranean, in collections misidentified for centuries, in shipwrecks yet undiscovered, there may be more. The Antikythera mechanism might not be alone. We just have to know where to look. If this video changed how you think about ancient technology, hit subscribe. We're uncovering lost knowledge like this every week. And drop a comment: what other ancient mysteries do you want us to investigate? The Antikythera mechanism proves that the past holds secrets we're only beginning to understand. What else is waiting to be found? What ancient genius is still buried, waiting for us to discover it? The answers might be closer than you think.